Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. What's going on, guys? I hope the weekend treated you well. It is round 0 done and dusted. Where on TikTok I'll recap each game individually. I don't think I'll do it. I want to do these relevant videos, and I don't mean that by they're relevant. Hopefully they are. I'm also talking about the players who are in at least 3% of teams, and therefore somebody's thinking about them out there. So I want to talk about him. So we are cutting it a little bit fine, round 0's done. We've got till Thursday night. We've got league codes coming out, so stay tuned. We've got to go through the mids, the rucks, and we'll go through the forwards today in terms of relevancy. And look, I think I like these videos because if you're out there wondering what the hell I think about a certain player, odds are I'm going to talk about him in this video if they're a forward and the others that correlate to that position. So yeah, I don't really know. We'll have a team reveal as well in there, probably on the Thursday or the Wednesday. And then, honestly, that might do us. It might do us because we'll run out of days. And look, I'm using this long weekend to absolutely launch into some content. Here's the SuperCoach group. So if you want to get involved in that, feel free to. But yeah, look, I'll do some codes. There's some codes coming out, but I should have a video up already at this point, so feel free to check that with the times. They're coming out Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But let's get stuck into it, shall we? I wanted to take a look at the forward line, and as you can see, I've zoomed in a little bit. It's late at night. My eyes are tired. I've been watching 2 games of footy today, so we're zooming in, all right? Shorty's getting on these days, and it's probably time for some contacts, but the eyes just ain't holding up as well as they once did. We'll go live on Wednesday too, guys. We'll go live on Wednesday. But let's talk some players. And Jack Macrae, early in the preseason, I was all about him, and I've become less about him the more time has gone on. I thought Bailey Smith going out of that side for the moment with injury, I thought he would probably slot in Macrae, but I don't know. I just feel like it's more like Sanders and maybe Harms coming in. I'm a bit worried about Macrae's role. I just think he's a guy maybe on the slide. So I'm happy to just see what he does for the first 2 to 4 weeks. And look, if he comes out and he's getting heaps of centre bounces and hits 120 the first 2 weeks, yeah, we're going to bring him in because he's not a bad price. But just want to have a look at that role and that position. Luke Jackson, I reckon he's going to really go through the roof in terms of the ownership. He's just under 30%, and I reckon that'll certainly go to around the 40 mark. A bit of conjecture about how long Darcy is out for, and I understand some people think it might be 2 or 3, so what's the point? But since when does Sean Darcy come back quickly from injuries? I mean, he will always take a little bit longer. Even if he comes back, if Jackson's on fire in the first month, it's always hard to move players out. If the Dockers are 3-1 and Jackson's on fire, then Jackson's still probably going to do 60-40 or 70-30 as they ease Darcy back into it. So, and then there's always a chance that an interrupted pre-season for Darcy sees him have an interrupted year, and Jackson could have 14 to 18 games solo. You just never know. I want to start with him. He'll definitely start well. He'll make us money. I mean, he's not exactly cheap as chips, but he will make money, I think. Certainly don't anticipate him losing any. So, yeah, I reckon he's a guy that'll be in many sides. And this is where it starts to get tricky because I know in my side, I've had a couple of team updates. After this, it's more or less mid-prices. We'll talk about Flanders as well, but Charlie Curnow, I'm not as interested in. There's not too many key forwards that get me excited. I think he will average well again, but I'm just happy to play elsewhere. I just think he's not exactly a Lance Franklin in his prime that we can trust in SuperCoach. He's an outstanding player and dominated on the weekend, but I'm just happy to play around him. I mean, there's no doubt he could average near 100 again, but happy to just leave it for now. Key forwards normally throw in some bad games. They get shut down. The team doesn't give them good supply. So I feel like there'll be a lower score at some stage that we can pick him up a bit cheaper. Shai Bolton, look, I think the talk is he's going to play a little bit more forward. He played a bit more midfield today because Martin wasn't in the team. But look, I think Bolton's probably going to play a bit more forward. That's what Uze said. So let's listen to him. And just on the back of that, I'm happy to go elsewhere. Dustin Martin tying into the Richmond flavour. I was big on him a few weeks ago, but as Lang has told me, he's getting on now. And of course, that calf gave him some concerns. I think it was his calf. But yeah, so he's still in the 4% of teams. But yeah, you'd have to be cooling on him. The fact that he's, he should play on Thursday night, but the fact that he missed the weekend and he is getting older. I think he will play midfield, and I think when he's out there, we'll see some really good footy from Dusty, but probably one that you can just wait and see and maybe try and catch him on a hot patch throughout the season rather than going for a whole year, because he will have ups and downs and probably won't play 22 games. Well, he's already missed the first game, so... Caleb Daniel, oh man, what was going on in the practice game? I was thinking, who knows, he could actually be a sneaky option, but strange, I think he came on at half time. I mean, I don't know where he fits into it. I think he fits into it half forward, rotating in that midfield. I mean, I'd love to see him just roll off half back again and just hit those little targets like he did and average 100, but I don't know. I feel like those days are maybe gone. But look, until we see those days come back, we can't pick him. But yeah, there could be a time where, I mean, I think he'll be a top 6 forward. I think he's too classy. So even if he does play half forward, pushes into the midfield, he's got too many weapons to not be a good scorer and average at least 90. And I think that'll certainly be a keeper with these forward line options. But yeah, happy to just let him go. Let's see what role he plays. And you never know what happens throughout a season. Someone goes down or the Dogs are struggling. They move into half back, then we'll jump all over him. But until then, we're just going to steer clear. Toby Greene didn't have his best night tonight. That's going to happen in the role that he does play. He will have some quiet ones, even when the Giants played pretty well, which doesn't really check out. But I'm not too interested, to be honest. I think he is a guy that, is a star of our game. But think of the year he had last year. It was insane. And he averaged 91. So it's like this outstanding year in a team that went well. He didn't even push the mid-90s. So, I mean, I think given everything we've got to pick from in the forward line, he's got to come into consideration. But I'm happy to go elsewhere as well. So, then we do move to Sam Flanders, who looked really good today. So I have dropped him. Got a little bit nervous from the practice game. And with Jackson coming into vein, I was like, okay, let's go Flanders up to Jackson. And that is how I'm currently doing it. But Flanders was really good today. And he is definitely behind Rowell, Anderson and Miller in the midfield. There's no doubt about that. But I think he's a clear fourth in line, which is okay. He should get a solid 8 to 12 centre bounces most weeks. And he's a clever footballer. He was really good today. I don't know if I'm getting sucked in because so much went right for the Suns today and a lot of their players dominated. But I think Flanders will be around the mark again. I think he'll average in the 90s and he's definitely worth picking. So I'm brainstorming ideas to try and bring him in. Haven't been able to get it just yet, but leave it with me. I'm trying here. And then this is where we probably start to scroll. I mean, you got Jezza Cameron, who, like I said with Curnow, not really a fan of these key forwards. If I had to pick out of Curnow and Cameron, I would go Jezza. Just. The way he started last year was insane. Prime form before he got injured. But, again, I'm not too keen to go near Jezza. As much as I love him, I hope he wins the Coleman for our sake. But Izak Rankine. Now, we love to hear it, don't we? More midfield time. Oh, we love those words. He's a talented guy, and he's going to get more time through the middle. Fantastic. And to be fair, that came true. And he did play reasonably well. He wasn't insane, but I think he's a guy. He reminds me of Steve Johnson. All the tricks, and once they tame him, Stevie J had some strange moments early on, but once they found that right balance between his creativity and not doing dumb stuff and build his fitness up, and then found that balance between mid and forward, he was so good. That could be Rankine this year. I don't have the guts to pick him. I can understand if you want to take a punt on him, but I am happy to just shop elsewhere, as I keep saying, but certainly huge upside from Rankine. Who else have we got? We got Adams in 4% of teams, but he's missing early chunk of the season, so you can put a line through him. Zac Bailey, put a line through him. I mean, he's in 3%. Talented player, has his games, has his moments, but not consistent enough. More of a mid forward. That's not the place we want to be spending our cash. We definitely are going to start to hit some mid prices who do offer a bit. I think Lipinski caught the eye pretty much off the back of a nice practice game, but it's a no from me. Really nice player, quality, but going to be inconsistent. Doesn't have a primary role at the Pies. There's no need to be picking him. Nick Larkey in 4% of teams. It's a no from me. I mean, if we're picking key forwards, let's toss a coin on Curnow and Cameron. It's not going to be Larkey in one of the worst sides in the comp. As much as he does find a way to kick goals, we're not picking him. And Zac Fisher, there's a Roo that we will pick. Now, he was fantastic off half-back and warrants the pick for sure. I mean, he looks like a player who North Melbourne are going to go through. They're going to use him. And he did have some nice footy at the back end of last year as a half-back flanker at the Blues. So I think there's plenty to get excited about with Fisher. He's in my team at the moment. I reckon he should be in yours. He can certainly push that average, through the 80s for sure. And if he really finds his groove, averaging 90 as a halfback flanker, very, very possible. So I think he's going to make us a fair bit of cash and help our sides out throughout the year. I'm not even going to mention Mason Cox. I mean, what's he in 3% of sides for? What are we doing here? How desperate are we getting in this forward line? Jamarra, again, I mean, could explode, could take steps, but I think he's still growing. I don't see him exploding onto the scene. I just think he's a guy who's building, but no, not for me. But we will get to some players that I actually do like because I feel like I'm just smacking every one of these players out of the park, and you're really not that keen on any of them. But there are a couple coming up as we just make sure we don't miss anyone. What are we doing? Jack Ginnivan, come on, man. Tom Lynch sounds like he'll play Thursday night, but happy to steer clear. Nat Fyfe, lock him into your teams. Nat looks back. He looks primed. He's in the midfield. And I've said all pre-season, if he gets through fit, firing, plays practice matches in the middle, at that price, you got to give it a shot. You've got to give it a crack. I mean, if it goes pear-shaped, then, well, these things happen. But at that price, he's got huge scoring potential, and he's not that much of an investment to just find out. So I'm picking him. I reckon you should as well. Then we got Jordon, who didn't exactly set the world on fire in the season opener, but he had a shocking first half, could barely find it, worked his way into it. And I think the role is good, particularly with Parker and Adams out for probably the first month. I think the role is good. I think he had a bit of a dirty day. He looked a bit nervy against his old team. Look, I'm going to back him in. I'm backing Jordon in. I think he'll be a good option. Like a bit with Fyfe as well. I mean, it's not like you're paying too much just to find out. You might have got worried about Jordon, so maybe you just want to wait and see. And to be fair, if I'm going to turf anyone for Flanders, it's probably going to be Jordon because I really love Fyfe and I really love Fisher. But I still think he's worth a spot in your side. How are we going for time here? Yeah, I reckon we can sneak a couple in. We got Harms, who I did my top mid prices in the forward line, and Harms was he was right down the list. I'm not too interested in him. He'll get some opportunities, but I'm happy to go elsewhere. Doggy's midfield, they've got a few options, and I just don't think he's going to get enough opportunity. Tsatas, look, I went through 6 of the options in terms of mid prices in the forward line. Where's Billings? Has his ownership just dropped off the face of the earth, has it? Where is he? Oh, is he further down? Yeah, righto. So Tsatas looked good against the Cats, found 24 touches. It wasn't too bad, but young, going to find it hard to get opportunities in the middle. I think he's probably going to more float around wing, maybe half back. Again, I think there's better options in Jordon, Fyfe and Fisher. So solid, but better options. And put a line through Billings, man, as soon as he was a sub, it was like, oh, Jesus, there's some PTSD. I forgot how painful it can be finding out the sub when it's your guy. Not that I had Billings, but I was like, this is going to piss us off at some stage in the season. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, you can definitely go elsewhere. So, look, there you have it, guys. I just wanted to be a bit shorter and sharper, just give you my 2 cents worth on these players. I didn't want to go on for too long, but I will timestamp it. You might have already seen I did that in the Defenders video. But yeah, if you think I missed anyone or went over someone a bit too quick and didn't give them the love they deserve, well, let me know. But at the moment, I'm going 1 premium and then 3 mid-prices and Reed and Sexton and the like. I will be trying to get Flanders in there, but we'll just see how we go. All right, enjoy the week. Footy's not far off from really getting going at the MCG. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.